have this E30 and it's been here for running like an absolute bag of nails. So it's getting an engine swap, so hopefully roll out of here with a lovely sweet running M50 in time for the owner to do a bit of rallying. Do you need a handle or do you want to?
No. We're now in final prep for the engine to go into the car, and we've just put a thermostat in and then put the thermostat cover on. You need to do this while the engine's not being supported by the lifting strap, because where the lifting hook in front of the engine bolts on to the block is right there, which is one of the bolts that holds the thermostat cover on. Next, you'll want to get yourself set up with a fancy contraption like this. It gets the engine balanced in such a way that you can put your gearbox and other appendages on. Now we're fitting this dual mass flywheel, which has been supplied by the customer. Seems to be in good shape. It is an M50 one. You can run M50 flywheels on an M50 with a standard E30 box, because again that's what's been supplied, so we'll be running that. When you're fitting a flywheel, make sure to locate the hole that is slightly bigger, because you have a locating dial on your engine, and if you don't match that up you will end up crushing the thing, running the flywheel off at an angle and destroying your starter, destroying your gearbox, destroying your flywheel, possibly destroying your clutch and ruining everything. I've already mentioned as well about the pinion bearing down here. Because this was a manual engine, it already has one, it's in good shape. But if you don't have one, or if it's in bad shape, or if your engine came out of an automatic, you can buy those from BMW for around about £12 plus VAT. You can also use the second hand one if you can get it out. There is the braid method to get it out, the grease method, or you can make a proper little puller like I did. Also, when you're about finished, lock the crank with the breaker bar. That way whenever you torque your bolts, then it won't be able to move. It'll lock against this, and then you'll be able to put proper torque on them without spinning the engine. When it comes time to align your clutch, you can either buy an alignment tool to do it, you can chance it, which is a really bad idea, or you can be really cool like us, and if you've got a spare gearbox and a grinder, you can make your own. Chopping off the front half of the gearbox, and use that to keep the disc, put that into that bearing. Is that in? It seems to be in. And then that way then you can clamp down your friction plate, and your clutch will be centered, and then when you put your gearbox on, it'll just slide on really nicely. That at least is the theory. The next step is to fit the gearbox. Firstly, you have this plate, which needs fitted in here. Really intelligent people, like our William, take a piece of cardboard, mark the top, bottom sides of the gearbox pattern, and put the bolts in order. and that way then when you come to rebolt the gearbox on, the bolts are in the right place. The bolts are not always the same size, same pitch or same length, so doing something like that means that you A, don't lose the bolts, and B, know where they go. I will just fit the gearbox and those splines will just slide in just really nice and easy. Here it is, now fitted, torqued, tightened, and that is ready to go in. So now we need to exchange an E36 for an E30, put it back on the left, drop the engine in, start getting it bolted up, and then we can look about wiring it. Alright, we're just getting ready to put this engine in now. We needed to drill out the hole in the mount for the bigger rubber mounts that we're putting in. We went to take off the mount to do that, and then two of the bolts actually sheared inside the block. There's still little stubs sticking out from them, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill them out. Put a drill piece down the centre of them, and we'll either be able to extract the stud, or if it's too well seized in there, maybe even rusted in, which I sort of suspect, then we'll just tap. I'll put progressively bigger drill pieces onto it and then tap the inside of it, and then we'll use a bolt and we'll put it through the mount, and we'll just have to do it in situ here instead. It would be a lot easier to take the mount off and drill it in the press, but now we'll just have to do it here with the drill like this. Okay, we've drilled that out. Looks like we are going to have to tap it, so get the tap set out. This one to firstly start the thread, and then after that I can just take the drill to it and very, very slowly drill it in. I have to do it like this because I can't swing the thing around due to the mount. Obviously I'm using a much smaller holder as well than the one I showed you. That was artistic license for the film. You know how in movies everything looks bigger and cooler? We do that too.
Throttle body ones to go. That'll go in there once you get the fuel lines off. It's into the elbow as well. Also we need a new elbow. BMW.
Look at that. That's high quality supplied radiator there. Do you see that there?
No, I seen that. I wasn't gonna.
It's the flying chicken! Good quality Skoda parts. That's what we find this engine.
You no longer have a 6-foot.
6mm socket. Dead, is it? Lost, missing in action. Gone, never to return. Eaten by the dragons of Avalon.
He is MIA. So that is the engine finally fitted. The radiator's all plumbed up. Everything is sorted. All the fluids in it. Power steering's plumbed in. Airflow meter's connected. So now just a little bit of wiring here for the conversion to be done, and then that's just good to go and ready to run. So just something else a few other things to bear in mind if you're doing this swap. You'll need to use a E34 M50 throttle cable to make this work. You'll also come across the problem with the wires from the E36, because this engine should be running the battery in the boot kit. You can join that straight up to the battery in the boot kit for the E30, or what we'll be doing in this case is just fixing a terminal to this to fit it to the battery that will be sitting in here in the 4-cylinder spot. The other thing then is this custom made bracket. This has been put there just to hold the airflow meter in place. You'll not be able to fit this airflow meter to a standard E30 air box. It would be possible to use an E34 air box, but not with the radiator, with the bottle here, because of the size of this radiator. So that's something to bear in mind, to think about. In this instance, we'll probably end up running a cone filter, because if you're doing an engine swap, you probably don't care about originality anyway.
Now, this conversion, we're doing 1990 E30 4-cylinder into, that's the body plug, into an M50 E36 single Vanos engine. So got the pinout diagrams for both the X20 connector that's attached to the E36 engine harness, and also the C101 plug that would be on one of these cars. Now, the way this conversion is being done, and this isn't our choice, this is the way that it has to be done, is that the car body loom is to be connected up to an E36 connector, so that there's no harness adapter, so to speak, in play. Now, my preference would have been to make an adapter, but in this case that's not the way we're going to be doing it. So I have here the harness plug cut off an E36, and then we'll strip this back, and then we'll have to colour match these wires to the ones that are sticking out of the fuse box on E30, and then that way when this goes in and then it's all tipped up, that will look like factory, and then the E36 loom will just plug on, and away we go. Normally I would say that these Bentley manuals produced in America are the best thing in the world for wiring diagrams, but in the case of the E30 it doesn't have what I need. It's very easy to get a pinout diagram for the C101 connection, which is the one that's in the E30, connecting to the engine from the body. It's very easy to get that for a 6-cylinder car, but not easy to get it for a 4-cylinder. So, because we have plenty of cars here, then I've done my own chart of an M40 plug, so I know which colours is which. Some of those match up with M20 ones, so the ones with a switch slide and stuff like that. ABS lines up all the large ones, you know, all the main ones, but all the little small parts, which is the little ones you need to work as well, they don't match an M20 Motronic C101 plug. So I still need to find a pinout diagram for an M40 car. It's going to take a little bit of elimination process and a little bit of figuring out to get ourselves a wiring diagram. So once we have a wiring diagram, then it's going to take 10 minutes to get the thing wired up, but we need to do this right. Alright, what I'm doing now is going through some diagnostic manuals that I found online for an E30. I think this is actually for a 318IS, it's an M42 engine, but it's very similar wiring. Only difference will be that it'll have ABS, whereas our car doesn't, and because it's a year later, and there might be a slight difference in the engine management and check control. For example here, so everywhere we're going through here, and we're actually trying to spot, see in these junctions between, this is the DME, this instrument cluster, but whatever other thing it's going to, we're looking for wires here that have a little tiny C101 written beside them. That is the plug that we're after. That means there's a connection there, and it tells you which pin and the colour and the size of the wire. So we're going through these, trying to figure out one by one which each of these do. We have a C101 and a 14 there, which is blue, yellow, and black and white. And pin 14, I have a blue and yellow, so that matches up. That is the speed output, which we actually had another speed output already, so that's sort of worrying. We have a brown black there in pin 12. We actually don't have a pin 12 in this. That is for, well, that's for check engine. There is no check controls panel in this car because it was a 316, so we're okay there. This plug is an E36 plug, and this is a little bit easier to do because most of these wires match up to the wires that come out of this plug on the engine loom. Now people are probably crazy thinking that I don't know what I'm doing, and it's really easy to get a pinout diagram for a C101 connector for a E30, and you should have no trouble matching those up, and even if I had a connector diagram I could match up the colours. But what they don't realise is that the body loom on an E30, the wires are actually different colours to those that are on the engine loom, so you do actually need to figure out which one's which. It's not as straightforward as using the C101 connector diagram, because it's for the engine loom side, not for the body loom side. The body loom, I'll figure out that these are all for. Now that I've done that, then now it's a case of corresponding the function of each to the function of each in the E36, which is not necessarily all the same. In fact, they're mostly different and they're in different pins. So now that I know that, I can cut these, splice them into this, and then I'll end up with this E36 connector, which I can then mount in the car, mount the E36 harness to it, and it will look factory. And then clean the ends up. There's this wire. There's this wire from this connector. Overlap them, few would overlap, so clean this wire up too. Come back a little bit. I don't want the pieces falling, so I'm making a mess of the engine bay, so I'm dropping them all into this little bin over here. Solder connector, you've seen me use these before. Pop them over. Connect the two wires, just usual twist. Instead of just putting a bit of electrical tape around them like lots of people do, you're going like that.
Well, how you getting on?
That's it. It's done. Just need a.
What's all this about?
This is me knowing how to do what I'm doing.
And this?
It's nothing to do with me.
Is this why you're taking so long to do what you're doing?
No, that's definitely a plant. What is that? I don't have time for reading magazines. I'm busy doing intensive rewiring and surgery in this car.
No, but you can still look at pictures.
I don't like looking at pictures. I like driving. Time for tea yet?
Nah, I'm gonna go with tea and do some work.
And take your magazine away with you. Stop trying to make me look bad. Right. So we're checking all the wiring, just make sure it runs right. I said connect the throttle cable, and we're a little bit under pressure to get it finished, but I think that should work. Do we do finger crossing, or do we just rely on the one that we're doing? Fingers crossed. Expert level. It's in once again. Proven once again. Right. Well then, there we are with our spangly head cam. Now looking at one E30, which has nice Romo wheels, and inside there is an M50 2.5. Completely finished, we hope, and now it's time to put this in here. It's kind of difficult to, that's not even the right key. Hold on a minute, let's try that again with the right key this time. This is the key for it here, that one wasn't the key. Out of gear. That's much better. That's nice and quiet now. Well, as quiet as an M50 ever be. Yeah. Ready to rock. Ready to go rallying. Because that is where it's heading. Because in 2 days there is a rally in Donegal. And this car will be at it. So, this is her. Away. Time to go. Goodbye. So, one-handed driving is a bit entertaining. Oh, she's lively. Goodbye, little car.